Hello, fellow lovers of liberty. I'm Matthew Dalton.
And I'm Robert Wasmund, and welcome back to the Journalistic Revolution. In this segment of the show, what we're going to be discussing is the statistics and numbers on drone strikes, and as concerning as that is, why we should be concerned about some other numbers that we're going to bring to your attention towards the end here. Now, according to the data compiled by the New American Foundation from reliable news reports, 350 CIA drone strikes in Pakistan alone have killed an estimated of 1,956 to 3,284 people since 2004, of which 1,526 to 2,649 were reported to be militants. And here is the graph from the website. This means that the average non-militant casualty rate over the life of the program is at 18 to 23%. In 2012, it was around 10%, down sharply from its peak in 2006 of over 60%, according to that information.
New America Foundation's Year of the Drone Project, the most widely cited in the U.S. of the three strike tracking sources, currently estimates that 152 to 191 civilians have been killed by drones since 2004. One of the New America Foundation's directors, Peter Bergen, has made headlines recently as a national security analyst for CNN, using the New America Foundation's data to argue that drones have caused no civilian deaths in Pakistan since 2012.
Yeah, right.
Scrutiny of both assertions has since revealed omissions and inconsistencies in New America Foundation's dataset, calling its widely publicized conclusions into question, of course. Several of New America's strike descriptions going back to 2006 fail to incorporate a number of credible and in some cases high-profile reports of civilian casualties. For example, New America Foundation reports that a strike on October 31st, 2011 killed 3 to 4 militants and makes no mention of civilian or unknown casualties. That strike, however, was widely reported to have killed 2 civilian teenagers, 16-year-old Tariq Aziz and his cousin Wahid Khan, a fact that has been reported in a variety of Western and Pakistani media outlets, including BBC, ABC, The Guardian, and Dawn. They detail the circumstances of that strike in the narrative section of the Living Under Drones chapter of this report.
And we'll have a link to where we got that information. Now, the double tap. All right, this has been of some controversy. Some people say it's happening. Some people say it isn't happening.
And we've covered it before.
Yeah, when reports of it first started coming out, we reported on it before. You can look to those videos. Now, the first confirmed attack on rescuers took place in North Waziristan on May 16, 2009. Some may argue that this was a long time ago, but you know, I'm one of these people, if they've been doing it since then, they're most likely doing it now. And the reports just surfaced late last year of this happening, and now we have a confirmed one. According to Mustaq Yousafzai, a local journalist, Taliban militants had gathered at the village of Kashur. After praying at the local mosque, they were preparing to cross the nearby border to Afghanistan to launch an attack on U.S. forces. But the U.S. struck first, which is understandable in a time of war. A CIA drone fired its missiles into the Taliban group, killing at least a dozen people. Villagers then joined the surviving Taliban as they tried to retrieve their dead and their injured. But as rescuers clambered through the demolished houses to rescue the people, the drones struck yet again. 2 missiles slammed into the rubble, killing many more. At least 29 people in total in that one strike alone. Civilian rescuers. Now, these numbers and these facts, and the fact that this is finally making it to a national conversation, is a wonderful thing. And I'm glad we finally got to that milestone as far as anybody who's in the movement against the an anti-drone movement, especially here in the United States. That's a great milestone. But there are some numbers that were brought to my attention by the good people of innocentdown.com. They brought these numbers to my attention, and as concerned as we are about these innocent civilians dying in other countries, we should be just as concerned of these numbers here.
In the United States of America, you are 1,604 times more likely to be killed by a cop than a drone strike.
Just to put that even in more perspective, you are 8 times more likely to be killed by an officer of the law than you are by a terrorist. So we want to talk about how the news is reporting these cop killings. If you look on the front page of the Times website right now, they have an article that reports that 72 officers were killed in 2011. That's a horrible number, get me wrong. Anybody's death is bad. And they sensationalize it as 25% increase from last year and a 75% rise from 2008. I mean, but you're talking small numbers here. 75% of a small number is not a reason to panic. Now, the article does not mention, however, the number of arrest-related deaths during that same period. And we'd like to go over that with you.
From 2003 to 2009, 4,813 people died in relation to an arrest in all manners of deaths. Each year ranged from 627 in 2003 to 745 in 2007. The source being Andrea M. Birch from the U.S. Department of Justice Bureau of Justice Statistics in the arrest-related deaths 2003 to 2009 statistical tables in November 2011.
Now, of those numbers, 2,913, about 6 in 10, were reported as homicide by law enforcement. Each year ranged from about 375 in 2004 to 497 in 2009. You can see the same source.
In the only year in which the New York Times article and the Bureau of Justice Statistics report overlap, 2008, law enforcement killed roughly 10 times the number of people during arrest than officers killed. That's 404 to 41.
So, cops, their score is 404 kills. Criminals, 41.
That was a basketball game. Holy smokes! I threw the white towel in a long time ago.
Now, since 2001, at least 500 people have been killed as a result of being tasered by officers in the United States alone. Now, that's not gun-related deaths. That's tasers. You know, and
spread that out over 10 years. It doesn't seem like a whole lot. It's about 50 per year. But a taser's meant to not
That still beats out how many cops were killed
in most cases.
In most years. I mean, if you averaged it out to 50 people killed by a taser a year, that still beats the number of cops killed on average over that same amount of time by just tasers alone.
And those are supposed to be non-lethal.
Yeah, and those are non-lethal. But, you know, it's about as non-lethal as beanbag bullets. Now, to put this in perspective, right, you're 8 times more likely to be killed by an officer, right, than a terrorist. Right? Now, the probability of an officer being murdered on duty in the United States is 0.007%. Now, if you get pulled over by the cops, it's like a 1 in 8 chance they're going to kill you. Now, the problem with this number isn't necessarily that it's happening, because who knows? Maybe every single one had some sort of reason, and you got to take in a lot of information to account for a reason to kill somebody. You know, and you got to take in all that information in a small amount of time with our flawed human brains. So I understand, crap happens, all right? But deadly force is rarely ruled unjustified.
The investigation noted that in Maine, for example, the Attorney General's office has justified every single police shooting since the year 2000. Corroborating statistics in other states, although rarely collected, attest to the near ubiquity of justification of use of deadly force.
Coroners found that in Chicago between 2000 and 2007, only 1 police shooting out of 84 were considered to be unjustified, meaning no probable cause was found for believing the suspect to be a threat. We want to close this on the manner of mental health, because that seems to be one of the linchpins in the gun control debate nowadays, and that information about police killings and stuff tend to be involved in the gun control debate as well. We're saying that mental health illness leads to mass murderers, right? And that's fairly true. And please, if you have a mental illness, do not take that as an affront on your sickness. Now, we're just going to use Maine as the example. because it's the only one I could find actual factual numbers on. In Maine, 42% of the people shot by police in 2000 and 58% of those who died from their injuries had mental health problems. And most of the officers who pulled the trigger lacked the amount of training needed to maybe have averted those crises and tragedies.
The annual toll nationally, about half of the estimated 375 to 500 people shot and killed by police each year are mentally ill. In many cases, the officers knew from the start that the subjects were unstable.
The vast majority of Maine's 3,500 police officers lack the crisis intervention training that can often defuse a deadly conflict. Maine State Police, who are involved in more shootings than any other agency, go figure, because you figured Chicago would be in there, have sent only 14 of their 200 patrol troopers to the training program to help crisis aversion.
The Maine legislature created a new system to review police shootings 3 years ago, but key lawmakers and police agencies haven't taken the time to read the findings, even though 20 people have been shot since the reviews began.
The Maine Attorney General's office, which investigates all police shootings, has never found one to be unjustified. The office doesn't even ask whether violence could have been avoided.
Confidentiality, protection for police, and a lack of data make it all but impossible for the public to evaluate police shootings in Maine. There's no way to assess how Maine compares with other states, whether any shootings could have been avoided, or to what extent officers have been disciplined for shooting someone unnecessarily.
And that's for all states. There's no way for you to find out if cops are shooting people unnecessarily in your state, besides doing what we've been doing, going through all these arrest posts and news articles about cop shootings, and then you have to find the article, watch the video, go to their source, look here, and then you have to wait until the hearing to find out if it was justified or unjustified. It's ridiculous. And violent encounters with disturbed people are likely to increase in Maine and elsewhere as cutbacks in mental health services are taking place. The return of veterans troubled by the experience of war and the growing abuse of prescription drugs are putting police in the role of frontline mental health workers. And that is a mental health discussion that we should be discussing. Now, we were saying that you have to go through all these articles to try and find. innocentdown.com is this great website. I've been doing a lot of research into it. We'll be working more with them to be able to promote more. We're going to be doing a whole show based on them alone and some of their examples. But go there and you will see numerous of innocent victims shot down by police in your own backyard.
The point of this is right here at home, right here in our own backyard. I think we need to be having a greater discussion of what our government, whether federal or local, is doing to its own citizens and what we can do to fix that and create more accountability and oversight for the people we pay taxes to basically protect us.
And I know a lot of you will say, well, that's a status argument. We don't need cops at all. Well, that's true, but we have them. So this is an issue, and we need to deal with it. And I don't want to take away from drone strikes at all. I am not saying it's one or the other. Hey, you need to support the movement trying to hold cops accountable and forsake drone strikes. Or, hey, you need to forsake holding cops accountable to support holding drone strikes accountable. It's not a black or white situation. The whole of the libertarian movement, from the activists to the politicians to the informants and educators, is in the gray area. Because we understand that we live in a gray area. The world is not black and white, left and right, right or wrong. It's what's justified, what's unjustified, and what is natural and what is rights. And that's the point. And so check us out on our next episode.